And I looked at the history and I thought, this, at least we should say academically, that we're looking at a Judeo-Christian Islamic tradition. And then from there, it just took off. I mean, there were no jobs, so my colleagues were all right. My colleagues literally said to me, why are you going into that abracadabra field? And others said, you'll never get a job. And I was only hired to teach world religions. And I did not teach Islam until the Iranian Revolution.
I was going to say, so...
I owe my career and my first Lexus to Ayatollah Khomeini and the Iranian Revolution.
Yeah.
But it's true. And I think that's the key. Where my passion came from was the key that whereas Muslims were in different parts of the world, they were just seen as Egyptians or Lebanese, not very visible in the US, very few mosques, etc. And yet there was an immediate equation that this is what their religion's like. That is the TV every day showing people shouting death to America.
And you've also spoken about the turning point in terms of Samuel Huntington's Clash of Civilizations. That really also laid the foundation for really framing Islam and Muslims as a threat.
I think the significance is as follows. Some of you know the name Edward Said. Edward Said, right after the Iranian Revolution, and most people never saw this, in a book that he had called Covering Islam, he talked about in 1981 that there was something happening in America with regard to Islam. And he talked about it for a while, a negative aura feeling. And then he ended by saying, this isn't what Islam is. This is the way it's being seen and portrayed. And this could lead to a clash of civilization. Okay? It wasn't until 1993 that Huntington published an article, Clash of Civilizations. Everyone attributes that to Huntington, that he came up with that idea.
It's still pervasive today, isn't it? That idea that really, it's really a false dichotomy in a lot of ways. And, you know, I was reading recently that really interesting cultural fact. Every year, American students walk across their graduation stage wearing a graduation gown and a cap. And I was actually reading that roots itself in Muslim universities in the 9th century, where Europe's best and brightest would go to these universities and they would want to come back home and mimic the thobe and the flat cap symbolized the Quran as the highest form of knowledge. And even the tassel would have been the bookmark in the Quran, you know, for keeping your place in the Quran. I mean, the fact that the Islamic intellectual tradition really influenced something as common as what American kids wear, or even in Europe, walking down the graduation stage. What does that say about Islam's impact on Western civilization and intellectual thought?
The model for universities in many ways were the early universities in Islam. The notion of having hostels for students. As one prominent scholar of Islam said, during the Dark Ages, if you were up on another planet and you looked down, the West was invisible. It would have been the Islamic world that stood out.